Commissioners, community, looking forward to present here this 21 Hatfield Township budget. Seventh straight, as President Zipfel said, seventh straight budget without a tax increase. The commissioners have done a really good job of managing expenses and providing exceptional services to our community. So before we get into the budget, who is our community? This was a year of discussion of diversity and inclusion. I think it's important to just take a big picture look at the residents we serve. This year there was a census. We don't have those figures out yet, unfortunately. We will get those soon. As of 19, we're a community of just shy of 18,000 residents. We have over 1,200 businesses here in Hatfield. And 1 out of every 5 residents that you bump into in Hatfield was born in another country. And I think that's important to know and to understand as we come up with ways to deliver services to this community. 2/3 of residents own a home. Median income as of 2019 is a little over $70,000, and 4.6% of our resident population lives in poverty. We began the year off on a positive note. We welcomed Commissioner Zimmerman, Commissioner Lees at the swearing in at the beginning of the year. Commissioner Andrews began his 5th term as a commissioner, and we're lucky to have the 3 of them. So some of the challenges we faced in 2020, not unique to Hatfield by any means. We were all in this one together, but still significant nonetheless. Among the challenges, delivering services during a global pandemic. We've had social justice and police reform issues, and then Tropical Storm Isaias on top of that. So I say man plans while God laughs, an old saying. Basically what it says is life is pretty unpredictable. So we come into the year and we have all of these great ideas for 2020, and we spent March, April, May canceling the aquatic center, our assessments with police that go out to meet with businesses, summer camp, in-person races, Rocktoberfest, bus trips, Dogapalooza, our Santa event, Mini Monster Mania, indoor pickleball, several coffee with a cop events, police officers reading in schools, all of these canceled because of COVID-19. So we tried to revamp, pivot, regroup, and say how can we provide some different and unique services to the community in this during these conditions. So we've turned lemons into lemonade. We decided let's recognize our healthcare workers. Let's build more community partners. Virtual Parks and Rec programming. We did an Easter Bunny visit, food pantry donations, mask donations, drive-through graduations. So let's look at some of those. We went out to Lansdale Hospital with the commissioners and the volunteer fire companies and the police officers, and we thanked the nurses and the doctors that were on the front lines of this pandemic. The police officers met nurses and other healthcare workers at their homes while they were finishing a shift. We did this 20 to 30 times this year, and we're met with crying residents grateful for the showing of support by our police officers. Commissioner Lee's and Commissioner Zimmerman's idea of an Easter bunny, at that time, people were locked in their homes. People were struggling. Commissioner Lees at the Calmer Fire Department was able to help us facilitate and get the Easter bunny, something that, you know, most years you think that's just the routine item. We saw tears. We saw a lot of residents coming out of their house, it seems like, you know, for the first time in months, and it was a fun event that we made our community smile. It was important. President Zipfel said, hey, our high school graduates weren't allowed to have graduation this year. What can we do for them? We came up with the drive-through graduation ceremony where our commissioners came and our public emergency services came, and we allowed the graduates to drive through and we recognized them. This is what it looked like a little bit. But one of many cars that were able to come through and get a little bit of joy out of a really rough year. Virtual Parks and Rec. So most of the Parks and Rec, it's all about people. It's all about engaging and getting around our community and enjoying certain things. You couldn't do that. So Ashley and her team did a great job, led by Commissioner Zimmerman. Let's do things to engage our community in a safe way. We did trivia nights, park puzzles, pumpkin contests, holiday, a lot of good pumpkin carving, by the way, I heard. Holiday light contests, gingerbread house contests, giving tree, storybook series, virtual exercise classes. 2020 was a Here's a shot of a family that decided to run the actual course by themselves, and they came up with a pretty good finish line with some masks hanging there. Storybook series. Residents submitted their pictures that they put together, just a way to engage through Facebook to provide a little bit of light in this dark year. We had some concerts that were then with masks and distance, a different look, but still something. Community outpouring of support when this began. One business in particular, Hardy Machine, but many others came out and donated food to the police department, which we then took to the food pantry that President Zipfeld talked about earlier tonight at the Church of the Brethren. Every other day that seemed to be, we were at capacity and taking food over there. We were reached out by the North Penn baseball team came out. This is the Parks Board that came out. There were dozens of groups that said, hey, we want to be involved and we want to help you and be a partner. And this is just one example. Police department taking it to the food pantry and doing this on a weekly basis to provide food for the people in our community that lost a job or suffered otherwise from the pandemic. More community donations, the American Legion, other PPEs being donated to our police. One of our favorite residents, Mr. Masser, donating masks to our police department. One of my favorite pictures from 2020, I think, represents what our police department is all about, led by Chief Tierney, in a time where all eyes were on the police across the country and talking about reform and defunding. We have a police department that's not stubborn. We have a police department that's willing to understand our community and to take a knee and understand when people are hurting. And it's not time to pound your chest, but it's time to embrace, it's time to understand, and it's time to take a knee. And we thankfully are led by the right person that has been doing this for years. And this is a partnership with the NAACP. This is a picture from years ago. My point is that we didn't just start doing this in 2020. This is just part of the culture we have here in Hatfield. So as we worked our way through the pandemic and social unrest, Mother Nature decided to punch us in the face yet again, and we had Tropical Storm Isaias, Produce Junction. This is what it looked like during the storm. This is what it looked like. Lenhart Road, 309. Flooding that we have not seen in Hatfield Township. Damaging many businesses, many homes. There were people that had to be rescued from their house. There were people that couldn't go back to their house that were homeless. And thankfully, because of community partnerships, advanced living specifically, we were able to provide housing for people on a short-term basis at no cost until they were able to get back on their feet. This is our bridge at Frick's Trail off of Orvilla. You can't even see it. That's how significant the flooding was. This is Walnut Street, looking at Dorman Products. And again, a hard event, a tough event, but then the heroes come back in. This is Commissioner Lees' fire department at Calmer. You see President Brian Seward, who we all got to know very well during the building project. He's in there on a boat rescuing the family that couldn't get out of their house. This is just another example of when crisis happens, all these public servants are there to help. Some bright moments in 2020. We opened the Hatfield Museum with a rainbow, leading us to hopefully a pot of gold. We saw our most talked about and our largest issue transportation-wise, and we have a nice little scene of, want to see what it looks like to build a road? There's about 10 pictures a day for the last 4 months. You get to see it paved, the sidewalks going in. Hopefully now we're in a position where the road's going to open in the next week or so. You all know why the moments you see where there's not much activity. We talked about that over the past few months, but pretty neat. We were able to put a construction camera next to it, and because it's 2020, the first camera we put up there malfunctioned and was recalled. So we had to mount another one, and we missed the very beginning of the project. The camera was there. We were on top of it. Commissioner Rogers had this idea a long time ago. Unfortunately, it malfunctioned. But we still got a lot of good shots, and now you see a road almost ready to be open to our community after years of effort by the commissioners and years of strategic and partnership building and relationship building and moving out residents. And we all know the Herculean effort that it took to get to this point, which people don't realize as you drive through. But we know behind the scenes how hard it was to get here. Said goodbye to one of our sergeants who was here for 30 years, Sergeant Woodford. In 2020, we paved over $750,000 worth into the roads, 2 slides worth of roads. For the last 10 years, you see all the roads we paved and all the investment the commissioners have made into the infrastructure in Hatfield Township. You see a lot of colors. Keep in mind, too, Cowpath, Unionville, or Villa, state roads. So we're getting to the point where all these roads have been paved. We're on a 15-year program, and we're right on track thanks to the funding by the commissioners. Over $15 million in the last 10 years in the roads, ramps, bridges, traffic improvements. So looking forward to 21. Quick shot of the organizational chart. What is important here is that at the top of this chart are the residents of Hatfield. They're the ultimate decision makers, the ultimate stakeholders. They're why we exist. All the boards that the commissioners oversee, all of these boards are run by volunteer Hatfield Township residents appointed by our commissioners. We run a sewer authority, a civil service commission, parks and rec, planning commission, zoning hearing board, pool advisory board, shade tree commission, EAC, IDA, the North Penn Health Hospital Education, which we talked about tonight, 1 rep to the North Penn Water Authority, and a vacancy board. So all of these boards consist of 5 to 7 people, residents that serve for no pay at all, just because they want to contribute to the community. Boards that staff works with on a daily basis, weekly basis, all important part of our organization, all overseen by the Hatfield commissioners. When you look at our 2021 budget, there's a saying, if you want to know what's important to an organization, you don't necessarily listen to them, what they're saying. You look at the budget. That's the bottom line and what is the mission and what's important to an organization. What's important to the Hatfield commissioners is public safety. 60% of this budget in 21 goes to fund fire protection, police protection. The remaining 40% is made up of roughly 25% in the infrastructure improvement, the paving, stormwater management, maintaining our roads. The remaining in the parks and rec, open space. So moving forward, our general fund budget, roughly a little over $11.4 million. Overall budget, all funds just shy of $15 million controlled by the Board of Commissioners. Every penny spent by the taxpayers is accounted for on this chart. If you're interested in more of the details and the more of the lines, in this packet is every single penny spent and accounted for. A budget is also in the lobby and on the website, available at any time to be reviewed. Primary sources of revenue coming in, and this applies to pretty much every local government in Pennsylvania. Real estate taxes is the big chunk. Earned income tax, the next one. Local service tax, that $1 per week for the employees that work in the town, $52 a year. And then contributions from the Commonwealth and Hatfield Borough. It looks like this. Without question, the biggest chunk is real estate and then earned income tax. Remember, earned income tax is 0.5% for residents of Hatfield Township. You have to live in the town to contribute. So again, no increase for 21. Where do your real estate taxes go? So we hear all the time when people are paying their real estate bill, they're not actually understanding where that money goes, because it's collected by the same tax collector, right? So 9% of what you pay in real estate comes to the township. 81% of it goes to the school district, and then 10% to the county for those services. So keep that in mind as you're paying your real estate taxes. This millage rate has stayed the same now for the past 7 years. Where we are compared to every other town in the county, residents pay a little less than half of the county compared to other municipalities in the county, and our businesses are a little higher because, remember, we have a very aggressive homestead exemption for our residents, and businesses do not pay anything besides real estate taxes. There is no business privilege tax, so that's one way to make it somewhat equitable. An example of real estate tax. Median assessed home in Hatfield is about $149,000 assessed, so they're paying roughly a little over $365 a year. Earned income tax, again, is that 0.5%. The other half goes to the school district. Median amount of money invested into Hatfield from that, $367. So that's how the money comes in. When the money goes out, like we talked about, You see the largest share of that is without question police. And then you add the fire protection and public works, and that's a significant amount of the budget. Only a 2% increase in this 21 budget from 2020, even despite a significant increase to the pension. So commissioners have contained the costs that they can contain. So looking at even a bigger picture here, your entire tax profile for a median resident in Hatfield Township. Let's assume your income in your house is $63,000. You add a median assessed value for your home. Overall tax picture, you can see the majority of your taxes still goes to the school district. Slightly less goes to the federal government, then to Pennsylvania, then to the county and township from there. So for your investment in the residents here in Hatfield, the median investment of $729 a year, all in. Earned income tax, real estate tax is what you get in return for that $700 in services is an accredited police department with 29 officers, fire protection by 2 active and excellent volunteer fire companies. You get 12 public works employees that remove snow, fix stormwater issues, pave roads, paint the roads, maintain signals, school flashers, bridges, maintain and mow almost 200 acres a week. We have Parks and Rec, 2 full-time employees, plus all the seasonal employees who provide the services that we talked about, the award-winning aquatic center, a fantastic school road park, Clemens Park, what Clemens Park will look like over time, Schweiker Park, what the new resurfaced pickleball courts will look like in the spring, Walnut Street Cabin, Tree Nursery, Melody Brook Park, Nature Preserve, Stratford Park, a dog park, an arboretum, street hockey, preserved open space, trail system, Chestnut, Fricks. Compare that to the other levels of government, the county, federal, and the state, and I think we all feel pretty confident the township has done a pretty good job providing those services for that amount of investment. Looking forward to 21, just highlights, no tax increase, 2% increase in expense, maintaining police, a lot of paving of roads, 2 new digital signs coming to one at School Road Park, one at the Public Works facility on Unionville. We're going to be doing a feasibility study for the Liberty Bell Trail, thanks to a grant and a partnership with other towns. We'll be paving School Road Park, the parking lot, and all of the trails, so updating that park. We'll be putting in a new mural that we talked about at the Aquatic Center, and we'll begin a design for a new police station. Some of the economic development projects coming our way. Clemens Food Group is expanding. The warehouse facilities that we were talking about last week on Township Line Road that we'll discuss more next month. The North Penn Business Park at Sterling. If you've driven up 309 recently, you'll see that that building is almost up, and it's significant. Some residential developments are coming our way. The commissioners have already approved, and Ralph's Corner will continue to redevelop. Some other projects, Commissioner Andrus is one of his favorites. We're going to see next year the traffic signals synchronized, the 11 along the 463 corridor. So all 40-foot, cow path to line. All those signals will be talking to each other and working better in 21. Project that we've talked about in this community for 100 years is coming our way in 21. The 309 Sumneytown Connector Road goes to bid early 21. So what was called the Piedmont Expressway in 1960, and our buddy, former Commissioner Bill Forst, brought up every meeting. And unfortunately, he won't be here to see it, but it's coming our way in 21. So what happens now, commissioners? We're going to post the budget. It's already out there in the lobby. We'll do a public notice. So if any resident would like to come in and make any comments until the next meeting, they certainly have the ability to do so. And then the commissioners will consider the votes at the December meeting. And just lastly, just want everyone to know that we as staff, commissioners, we are absolutely honored to work and protect and serve this community. And together we are all Hatfield strong. Thank you for your time tonight, commissioners. I got it in under 20 minutes. And thank you.